Welcome back. So yesterday we managed to get the engine running. It was actually really exciting. I didn't get a video, which was a real shame, but it was fantastic to actually hear it and see it and also smell it. There's something about a two-stroke engine when you get it up and running that if you've run them in the past or raced ever with a two-stroke engine with a two-stroke oil, it just smells fantastic. So it's kind of very reminiscent. So that was really cool. Promise to get a video next time we fire it up. But today, in order to get it fired up again, what I'm going to end up doing is, I started thinking last night that it would be really convenient if I didn't have to buy a lead acid battery, and in fact it'd be really convenient if I didn't have to run this. So that battery there was from like O'Reilly's, just any local auto factor place, and it was 50 bucks. So that's expensive and it's heavy, and you have to do it with the side pod off. With the side pod on, you either have to drill a hole or you have to take the side pod off. Not very convenient. This motor has a starter. Now I know a lot of people don't run them, but I figure for what I'm doing, for just getting seat time and maybe doing some races, but really the race car is the primary focus though. But anyway, for what I'm doing in seat time, it doesn't make sense to actually end up with this and having to go through all that hassle, and I'm not worried if the starter burns out because I can just replace that and it's not going to potentially kill a race. So I'm going to get the starter up and running. Now in order to do that, don't want to run that big battery. There's obviously this wiring loom here and the rest of the wiring loom that we took a look at yesterday, but I started thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I could actually do it with some tools that I just had lying around? And then I started thinking about all the different lithium battery based tools that are out nowadays. They've got a lot of torque, a lot of power that can be generated from that battery. Yes, it's to do with the brushless as well, but the actual battery technology is what really gives it the ability to run all that power. And we proved yesterday, just with a lithium polymer battery I had from an old hobby, that I could actually run that and engage that starter using that. Now it was higher voltage, so basically what I did was I looked around last night on Amazon and others, and what I'm really looking for, I'll show you some examples, is basically a way to hook up the tool batteries, so whether it be like a rigid or a Milwaukee, hook up a tool battery directly into the system. Now that's really convenient, not only from the fact that you're going to run tools anyway and be charging them and have them at the track, but also it's a lot easier than trying to wire in a lead acid battery, and it turns out they do different caps for that. And so I ordered a few off Amazon as well as some regulators, because these are 18 volts and you could probably put 18 volts through that starter, I just don't want to, so I got down to a 12 volt regulator. But then, when this morning I realised that I could go and get one of the actual clips from Home Depot, and I'll show you that here. So here, for example, is a rigid clip that I can actually use, 20 bucks from Home Depot, so I can modify that and see how that works. Anyway, when I was walking around, suddenly realised that, hang on a minute, the M12 is 12 volts anyway, so that's actually a much better one to start with. So I don't know, based on the amp hour rating and the current that we need to draw, if it's going to be suitable. But I have got, rather than breaking into a new one, I've got one from my jacket that I'm going to use and I'm going to dismantle and actually try and work out if we can use this M12s. And I've got some Power Extra batteries that I got from Amazon last year. I'm going to try those out and see if it engages the starter and works. If that does work, that's way better than using 18 volts and stepping it down. And it means that you can probably get this fairly cheap. Now I bought a different one there, just to kind of experiment, and then I suddenly thought, actually on the way home I can probably end up just ordering this from Amazon. So we'll give that a go. I've got all the wiring stuff here. I've got some new crimpers that I bought a while ago that I haven't tried yet, so it'd be fun to get those out. And really, let's just see if we can get a kart started with using these batteries, because that would be pretty cool. Alright, I'll let you know how we get on. Cheers. Okay, moment of truth. It's wired up. I was twisting the cable around here just to give it some strain relief. It looks a complete mess, but I've grounded it. But I only want to test. I don't want to put too much work into it if it's not going to work. So I'm only testing. So let's try and put you somewhere where you can watch. Hopefully. Looks good enough. Okay. So putting the battery in the power wire there. Can you see that? Yeah, power wire there is not going to touch anything, but I'm going to put the battery in. I have to be careful because everything is still open. And it is lithium. Four bars, right. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. It's always risky. Did you hear it? That's awesome. Nothing got hot. That's really awesome. Oh, I'm excited now. This could be cool. I wonder how much those brackets are. I might look that up. Amazon. So is it Milwaukee M12 jacket battery holder? There it is, 22 bucks. That's not bad. So if you've already got these batteries, which are like 19, you can get the cheap ones as well. You're talking about a 30 buck solution, and it drives all your tools, and they do bigger batteries. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to wire it up permanently now, drill holes and see if we can make it good. Welcome back. So, a few things to do. I need to fit a switch for the actual kill switch for the engine. So I got one of these. Seems fairly appropriate, but I'm going to have to switch it around because I actually need it to be connected when I want it to stop. So be grounded when I want it to stop. So I'm going to flip around the terminals and turn the switch around. Hopefully that works, but we'll soon see. Need to finish this. So this basically mounts on there, and this is going to be the push button for the start. So I probably didn't show this the other day, but I'll eventually paint this all up and that will go on nicely. I did find out the AIM wheel position kit, so I need to do that as well. A couple of the exciting things, so I eventually got the other parts in for the chargers, so in terms of being able to take the Milwaukee and the rigid batteries and use them as other chargers, so I could use it for the Kart. It kind of worked out for the cameras. One of the things, best thing to do is actually just use my batteries. So I've got this old battery which I kind of destroyed working on lots of cars, so basically the case was destroyed, but it still works perfectly fine, you know, and okay, it might need a charge at some point, but it's a great option for using this. So I can basically, saves me having to buy anything from Amazon. So that was a cheap, easy fix. And then the other one is the rigid, as you can see down there. That one's a nice low profile, so I might end up using that for something on the car if I want to change out that 12-volt battery. I did get the regulator through. It's pretty chunky and heavy, so not sure about that yet. The Kart's getting heavy enough as it is, but we'll wait and see. So I'll do the exhaust and the other bits I intended to do, and we'll just get on with it. So fun times. So the battery's all wired in, so let's take a quick look at how it turned out. So down here you can see that I used a license plate to actually mount it. It was the only metal I had hanging around. I've got my other metal buried in the basement at the moment, but we'll correct that as time goes on. But there you can probably see the battery holder. So it sits nice and snugly under the carburetor, which worked out really well, and you can see the wiring coming off. So all the wiring is cable tied into the chassis there, and so all you have to do is basically just insert the battery, and then this takes two hands, so I won't push it in all the way, but that goes all the way through. What's nice about it is it does give you an indication of charge. So if I get this pushed in, so I'm going to do it with one hand, might be all the way through. So it will give you an indication of charge. There you go. So you see that battery is fully charged. And so it's really nice just to be able to take a quick look and see how full the battery is. So it's got its own battery indicator. So that worked out really well. Everything works. There is a trick to getting it started. And I don't know if it's the starter or the fact that I'm using the 12-volt battery and the voltage drops. But basically what you have to do is you hit it once, and as soon as it bumps the flywheel, you can kind of hear it, and you take your finger off the starter, just hit it again, and then it engages and runs and starts up straight away. It's pretty exciting. So yeah, great cheap fix. So that was basically a $30 fix. All you need is a relay, the battery holder, and then one of the batteries. So the battery holder is easily available off Amazon. I'll put a link down in the bottom, as well as the batteries. The batteries are cheap aftermarket ones. They actually work better than the OEM ones, the official Milwaukee ones. Not quite sure why, but that's kind of interesting. And so yeah, basically a relay, some wires, a button, a switch, the battery in the battery pack, and it's all wired up. So that's great news. Welcome back. So last few pieces, got the exhaust springs, a few different sizes. I think these are going to work out the best. Got the axle key, need to swap that out. We've got some tank toppers. So basically the idea of these is that we can seal off the tank when it's not in use, replacement gas cap because that was leaking before, and then if these didn't work, I just had some caps to cap over the outlets from the tank so I could actually seal it off when not using it. So everything else is wired up, zip tied up, so get to it and should finish it off. So all the wiring is done as well. I'll just show you around the wiring just to show you kind of how we tidied it up, just to kind of get it out of the way. So here you can see from the back of the display, we've put it into this plastic, the corrugated plastic, and basically just taped it at the end, but that goes all the way down, goes down by the tank. So again, just nice and out of the way and tidy, both sides. Goes up under the seat, and then it's just tied to the seat. And then you've got some wires that will run across, like grounding wires and coil wires. The rest of the wires go up here basically to the relay, and the relay is attached to the side of the seat. This one is the tacho line, just for the display, so that's what that's for. The rest of the say is grounding wires or coil wires, and then we've got other sensors coming down here. And so both sides, that's all been wired in. And then if we take a look at the back, excuse this is just the prototype for the power, so we'll tidy that up. But basically these are the expansion modules that are required. They work really well on the tank. This is using VHB. So VHB is a 3M very high bond tape, and so it always works really well in a lot of different environments. So I thoroughly recommend it. You just have to make sure the surfaces are clean. So you can see there that that's on aluminum. So basically the aluminum housing of the AIM expander, as well as on the tank, and as long as both surfaces are clean, it works exceedingly well. So that's been fantastic. That worked out a treat, and that's pretty much it. So all of the wiring is tidied up, and hopefully we won't bump anything now. And so you can see how any excess wiring, you just fold back on itself and just push it back into the actual sleeve itself. So up here there'll be some excess wiring like this. It will be folded up, and it just keeps it all nice and tidy and out of the way. So that's worked out well.